Hey everybody, welcome to the Conscious Love Show. Whether you are single, you are in a relationship, or you're healing a broken heart, this show is here to inspire you, to remind you how beautiful, lovable, and amazing you truly are, and to give you the practical tools and insights to navigate from wherever you are right now to the loving relationship that you so deeply want to have. My name is Shane Kohler. I'm a certified transformational coach and trainer with over a decade experience helping people release their trauma and open their hearts to love. I've delivered seminars all over the world, coached thousands of people through my online platforms and programs, and every week I'm coming straight to you with the hottest insights and the best teachers around, bringing you powerful resources and profound conversations to heal your relationship with love, dating, and yourself. I'm so grateful you're here, and if it's your first time, welcome. You can count on me to always show up for you with my very best and a commitment to learn and grow myself so I can serve you to my maximum ability. Thanks so much for tuning into the show. I've got some awesome things planned for you today. So without further ado, let's dive in. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Conscious Love Show. Shane Kohler here. Pleasure to be on with you today. And in today's episode, we are talking about how to have a man step up for you. So I was just sharing with everybody before I went live here that the conversation came up in my Inspired Love group recently. And the question was, there's a woman who was talking to a guy on a dating app. The conversation was going really great and the interaction, and they had some rapport and things were feeling good. But what wasn't happening was that it didn't feel like he was moving things forward. Right. It didn't feel like he was saying, hey, let's go out on a date, or when can I see you? It didn't feel like he was taking that initiative to move things forward. And what this person was asking is, she was saying, should I ask him to? Should I push him to do it? Should I just sit back and wait? She was kind of wondering, what is the right approach with this? And she's not the first person who's ever brought this up. And I know a lot of you listening right now, or those of you who are live with me today, have probably experienced a similar frustration. It's something I hear often where, women largely want men to take initiative. They want men to make it happen. And I get that. And there are reasons for that. And I'm going to talk about some of that today. But I know I hear it from women often, and it can be frustrating when you're talking to a guy, when there's interest there, when it seems like he's interested, but he's not taking the steps you want him to take. He's not wanting to move the relationship forward on his own. And a lot of women think, and I've heard this, and I think it's totally valid, is why am I going to invest a lot in a relationship with a man who's not showing his interest, who's not wanting to move things forward, who's not making it clear that he wants to be with me? And in many situations, I don't really think you should, right? I think if a man in the early stages is not like making an effort to see you, asking you out, wanting to talk to you again, right? Like if he's not showing you that effort, then investing in a relationship with him and investing a lot of time and attention and energy and thought and feeling and all of this, getting wrapped up in a situation where it's not being reciprocated on that level is in many, many cases probably not a good idea. And yet, I think it's important to say, and we're going to be able to talk into some of the nuance of all of this today, is that I think it is a very nuanced situation in that there are reasons why a man might take action and reasons why he might not, right? And a lot of the times when I see men not taking action, there are often reasons for that women sometimes don't realize. And I think there are ways of engaging with him that encourages him to take action, right? There are ways of inviting him to do so without explicitly telling him, I want you to do X, Y, or Z, or without doing it all yourself, right? But there are ways of engaging with him that inspires him and excites him to take that action and encourages him to do so. And I think in a dating scenario, in a scenario where you're getting to know someone, there needs to be a reciprocal energy on both sides, right? Like an equal amount of investment on both sides. But that being said, I think the investment can look different, right? So there wants to be an equal energetic investment on both sides, right? You want both people to be bringing the same amount of energy to the relationship. And yet, just because you're bringing the same amount of energy doesn't mean that it has to look the same on both sides. In fact, I think there's a masculine way to bring energy and there's a feminine way to bring energy. And of course, and I think it's important to say too, is it's not wrong for men to be in the feminine sometimes, and it's not wrong for women to be in the masculine sometimes. But largely, when we're dating someone or when we're getting to know them, there's a certain desire to want to be in those respective roles, right? There's a certain desire for the women to want to be able to relax and let him kind of take the lead and show her a good time. And when a man does that, it also makes him feel good, right? He feels like he has something to offer. So it's not bad for the roles to be reversed from time to time. And yet it's often very healthy for us to honor those roles and to respect those roles and to show up in that. So today I'm going to try to break down some of the confusion in terms of, how should it be? How shouldn't it be? When to step in, when to lean back, and all this kind of stuff. In addressing the question, like, why should men take the lead? I think it's important before we get too far into today's conversation to just kind of talk about, like, why should men take the lead? And this is why. I think there is one very good reason why men should take the lead. And for any men who are listening today, I want you to hear me on this because I think it's important in terms of a relational dynamic, is that the core need that women have in a relationship is safety. I think above all else, like, a woman needs to feel safe with her partner. And one of the best ways that a man can make a woman feel safe from the very start is by taking the lead, so to speak. It's by, like, letting her know that he's interested, that he wants to see her, that, like, being consistent, right? Calling and making plans and like letting her know, like, where he stands, what he wants, making the effort to see her, to spend time with her, to let her know that she's a priority to him. Like, I think that is one of the best ways that a man can make a woman feel safe from the very start, right? From the very beginning, before they even know each other very well, before you've even gotten beyond even the first date or the second date, from the very start, I think a man has an opportunity to create an incredible amount of safety in the interaction. And a lot of times when women bring this up to me, I think the core need that is not being met, when women say, I want him to take the lead, I want him to show up for me, I want him to take initiative, I want him to make more effort. I think a lot of times when that is brought up, the need that is being expressed there, or the need that is not being met, is that I don't really feel safe in this interaction. Right? I like this person. I like the conversation we have. I like the rapport. They seem cool. They seem fun. They seem like I want to get to know them. But I don't really feel safe in the interaction. I don't really feel prioritized. I don't really feel like this is something I can trust or something I can count on. And again, for the men, whatever men might be listening to this, I think it's important to say that a woman who knows her value is going to require that, right? So when we talk about a really high value partner, like, she's not going to entertain a lot of wishy-washy, non-committal crap. If an interaction doesn't make her feel safe, she's going to recognize quickly that this is not worth my time, because she recognizes that she deserves that, right? She deserves someone who shows up for her, someone who makes her feel safe. And so above all else, I think this is the reason why it's important for men to take the lead. It's because it creates that safety, it creates that clarity, it creates that certainty. It lets her know what she can count on. And, men might hear this and they might say, well, why doesn't she create safety for me? Right? Like, I know some men may think that, like, why is it up to me to create safety? Why isn't it up to her to create safety? And I think, I know I did as a man, like, I didn't realize this until somebody really broke it down for me, is that men experience safety in the world on a whole other level than women do. And like, if I were to ask most women, if I were in a room of women and I were to say, how many of you have feared for your safety at some point today, at some point in the last 24 hours, almost every woman in the room would raise her hand. And that is something that men just don't deal with at all. I mean, yeah, of course, if, he was being mugged in an alleyway or something, he might fear for his safety. But generally speaking, like, day to day, men have very little even thought about being unsafe. Whereas for women, it is a constant thing, right? Women are constantly kind of attuned to, am I safe right now? Is the environment safe? Is something going to happen? And so when a man is wanting to date a woman or wanting to open a relationship up with a woman, I think starting that interaction by making her feel safe is super, super important. That kind of sets the stage for what the whole relationship is going to be like. And so for any men who are wondering, well, why is it my responsibility to make her feel safe? That's why. It's because throughout her day, she often doesn't feel safe. And if you can create that experience for her, that's going to go a long way in the relationship. Now, when it comes to how to invite a man to step up for you, right? And that's a topic for today for anyone who's just joining us. We're talking about how to invite a man to step up for you, how to get him to take the initiative, how to get him to, take those actions you want him to take, whether it's asking you out or planning dates or, taking initiative in terms of exciting things you can do together and so on. I think it is appropriate and actually a lot of times necessary to encourage or invite him to do so. And I think so many women want a man who has the kind of confidence to just walk across the room and be like, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I think you're beautiful, and I want to get to know you, right? I think so many women want that. And that's just, I'm sorry to say, it's a pretty unrealistic expectation. While, yes, I think in the early stages, it is important for a man to show that initiative and create that safety. You've also got to recognize that he is dealing with his own insecurity. He is dealing with his own fear of rejection. He is dealing with his own uncertainty about, I don't know what she wants or what she doesn't want. If I go up and approach her, am I going to offend her? Like I remember my buddy, this is many years ago when I was single, but I used to do a lot of yoga, and one of my friends was trying to meet a girl, and he's like, hey, and I was like, well, there's a lot of girls at yoga. I was like, why don't you come to yoga with me? Maybe you meet somebody there. And I took him there, and I was like, go say hi to someone, I was just encouraging him to, hey, go for it. And he said to me, he's like, look, man, like, they don't want to be hit on at yoga. Like they're just here to get their workout in and stuff. And like, I don't want to interrupt them. And like, in response to that statement, I think yes and no, right? I think some women would love someone to approach them at yoga or at the gym, and some women would not. Right. I've read forums online where women are like, I don't want to be approached at the gym. I'm there to get my workout in. I know that other women feel the opposite, right? Women send me messages on Instagram all the time, like, how can I get my gym crush to approach me? So it's really a mixed bag. And when you're like out in the world and you want a man to come approach you, you've got to understand that he doesn't know if it's okay to do so. He doesn't want to offend you. He doesn't know what you want or what you don't want. Most men are like generally trying to be respectful, especially like we live in the era post Me Too. And like, I think men these days have a whole new awareness about like how to be with women that maybe years ago they didn't have. And it's like, I think most men want to be respectful. They don't want to offend you. They don't want to be perceived as some kind of creep or some kind of asshole. And I'll say on the other side of it, the men who do feel totally comfortable just like walking up to any woman anywhere and like approaching her, I mean, that can almost be kind of a red flag a little bit, because that guy has gotten very comfortable operating over a lot of social norms. So while a lot of women would say like, oh, I want a guy who has the kind of confidence to just walk up and approach me, and like, I mean, that guy, like he's gotten so comfortable disregarding your comfort that like, it's not even a thing to him. He'll just walk up and approach you in the middle of your workout or in the middle of whatever. Like that's a little bit of a red flag, right? And I'll also say like, you want the guy to approach you unless you don't, right? Like, yeah, if you're attracted to him and you're in the mood and it feels right and all that, then you want it. But if it's some guy that you're not really into, then he's going to approach you and then he's got to like do the walk of shame in front of everybody as he gets rejected and has to walk away. I mean, like it's asking a lot. And so I say all of this to say that there is a way of engaging that makes that invitation. And I think there are ways to do this on dating apps. I think there are ways to do this in person. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today, like some of the ways that you can actually invite those interactions. And I also want to talk about today not only how you can invite someone to ask you out or approach you, whether it's at the gym or at the coffee shop or on a dating app, but also how when you're already interacting with someone, you can encourage him to take more of the actions you want to take. Because as I said earlier, and I just want to say it one more time before I start getting into all of the minutia of everything, I think there does need to be a reciprocation of energy on both sides. There needs to be equal energy. It doesn't need to be identical, right? You don't need to do the exact same things that he's doing, but you need to bring the exact same level of energy. And if you bring that level of energy to the interaction, he's likely going to reciprocate that level of energy right back to you. So let me first just talk about dating apps, because I think dating apps, they're kind of a mixed bag. And the reason I say that is because it's actually the easiest place to spark interactions. It's the easiest place to get something going. And when I say easy, let me clarify what I mean. I mean, it's the least vulnerable, right? It's the least risky. Whereas, when you're out in person and you're trying to get someone to approach you or you're trying to strike up an interaction, that's a lot more vulnerable. There's a lot more at risk. So dating apps are, the least vulnerable way, the safest way. You can make the most amount of mistakes with the least amount of consequences. That's the positive side to dating apps. The negative side to dating apps is that you have to sort through most likely a lot of people that you're really not that interested in. That's the negative side to dating apps. So positive side, it's not that vulnerable. It's not that risky. You can make a lot of mistakes and experience very little consequences. Negative side is there's a lot of sorting. So when you match with someone on a dating app, I mean, most dating apps have some kind of swipe feature. And, when you match, then you get the opportunity to reach out to the person. I'm just going to go with that format because that's how most of them work. I think it is totally okay as a woman when you match with someone to send the first message. And I know a lot of women are going to resist that idea. They're going to be like, why should I send the first message? He should send the first message. And especially with everything I said about men creating the safe space and all of this stuff, I know that might sound counterintuitive, but here's the thing. Dating apps, as I've said, they're low risk. There's not a huge amount of vulnerability. If you message someone and the interaction goes sideways, you can easily delete that person and never have to talk to them again. And so this is why I say on dating apps, where I wouldn't necessarily suggest it at the gym or at the coffee shop, but on dating apps, I think it is totally okay for women to make the first move because of the fact that you're sorting through so many people, because of the fact that you need to quickly figure out who is worth your time and who is not. Whereas if you match with someone for whatever reason, and there are a lot of reasons for this, but he might take several days to reach out to you. He might not reach out to you at all. Realistically, he might look at your profile and be like, oh, I don't think she'd be interested in me. She's way out of my league. I know a lot of women are going to hear this and they're going to be like, this is stupid and ridiculous. And I don't disagree with you, but a lot of men might think like, oh, if she matches with me and I go reaching out to her, like that makes me look desperate. Again, I know you might think like that sounds like a stupid idea. And I agree, it is a stupid idea, but everybody has insecurities. Everybody has like a certain amount of conditioning and programming they're operating from. And everybody I did an episode recently talking about some of the limiting beliefs that men reinforce amongst each other. And just a good example would be like this whole, like after a date, you have to wait 3 days to reach out, right? I mean, that's completely asinine. It's complete bullshit. It's not true by any means. But these are the kinds of ideas that are often perpetuated by men towards other men. And these are the kinds of ideas that a lot of men who have felt taken advantage of by women, or who have felt rejected, or who have felt any number of these things, a lot of them develop these limiting beliefs as strategies to protect themselves. And then they teach them to their brothers or their friends or their sons. I say all of this to say that when you match with a guy on a dating app, you don't really know what his fears or insecurities are. you don't really know where he's coming from. You don't know what his limiting beliefs are. And just putting it out there to let him know, like, hey, I'm interested in talking to you, can go a long way. Now, I would give the same advice to men, by the way. So I'm not only giving this advice to women, I would say for any of the men listening, if you match with someone, just reach out. Like, stop being afraid. Stop worrying about being rejected. Again, if that person rejects you, if the interaction goes sideways, you can delete it and like never have to talk to them again. Like, this advice really goes on both sides for everyone. Like, when you're on a dating app and you match with someone, say hi. Like, just say hi, just get the interaction started, because when you're on a dating app, you have to sort through a lot of people before you find someone that you potentially are very compatible with. And if you're hesitant, or if you're delaying it or afraid to take that first step, like, all you're doing is prolonging the process. All you're doing is having a bunch of unfulfilled interactions in your chat history. And the way I coach people is, like, when you're on a dating app, every single interaction that shows up, quickly find out how much it's worth and either entertain it or delete it. But don't keep an endless amount of low quality interactions going on. That is a drain on your energy. It is a drain on your mental health. It is a drain on your confidence. It's just such a waste of time and space and energy that you could be directing to better places. So again, this advice goes for women. It also goes for men. When you match with someone, just reach out, just say hi. If they don't reach out first, you be the first to reach out. And then the next thing I want to say is, when you're on a dating app, what you're really looking for is to have good rapport with somebody. You know, again, if you match with someone, if you say hi or if they say hi, and there's some kind of interaction that happens, you want to quickly identify, okay, is this conversation enjoyable? Is this person interesting? Do they have cool things to say? Do I feel like we vibe on a level? Do I feel like we have interests in common? Do I feel like if we were to go out or we were to spend some time together, that it would actually be fun and enjoyable, right? Like, if you're getting like 1 or 2 word responses, you know, if you share something deep and insightful and interesting and they don't know how to reply to that, if they're not interested in engaging in a conversation, then you can very quickly, I mean, I'm talking about within your first time talking to them, you can get clear if this is someone that you want to have any kind of relationship with or not. And so again, I think like this is about cutting out the dead energy. It's about cutting out like all the wasted time, and it's about cutting out all the BS and just getting right to the heart of the matter. Like, do I vibe with this person on any real level? Is there any rapport? Now, if there is some amount of rapport, that means when you share something interesting, they have something interesting to reply. They have interesting things to share with you, right? Like, they have stories of their own to tell. You find their stories interesting. You find their life interesting. You think they're a cool person. They're into cool things, right? Like any and all of that. If that's there, then the next step is to invite them off the app. And this is where I say you can separate the men from the boys, so to speak. You give them your phone number, or you give them like some people don't feel comfortable giving out their real phone number, and I totally respect that. So I always say, if you don't feel comfortable giving out your phone number, set up a Google Voice number. It costs $10 a month. But the point in this part, and this is the most important part of what I'm saying right now, this is to find out if this person is willing to get off the app. This is what I call a challenge. And there's a dynamic I'm going to talk about a little bit later in today's episode called challenge and reward. And I'll just speak a little bit about it now, and then I'm going to go into more detail towards the end. But there's a dynamic called challenge and reward. And what this dynamic is, and it's specifically something a woman does with a man, is the woman offers him some kind of challenge. Now, when I say challenge, I know that word can be misinterpreted. I don't mean to be aggressive. I don't mean to give him a hard time. I don't mean to anything like that. It's nothing negative. But what the challenge is it's an opportunity for him to demonstrate something for you. And one of the fastest ways, I'm using a dating app example right now, but even off of dating apps, one of the fastest ways that you can determine true potential with someone is to offer him small challenges, small opportunities for him to show up for you. And then if he doesn't rise to these challenges, you might offer one or two or maybe three. But if he doesn't rise to these challenges, you can quickly identify that he is not the kind of man that you're looking for. But if he does rise to these challenges, you then reward him for doing so. And later today, I'm going to talk a little bit about what a reward looks like, right? Different ways of rewarding him. But what the reward is it's reinforcing the positive behavior. And so what you basically do is you make him an invitation. In the example I'm giving right now, the invitation is, hey, let's get off the dating apps. After one or two good conversations, you don't need to be pen pals on a dating app. That is a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. If you've had one or two good conversations and he doesn't want to take it any further than that, he's wasting your time and you just need to drop him. So what you do is you offer him the first challenge of your entire relationship and you say, hey, I'd love to take this off the app and get to know each other a little better. Here's my phone number. Send me a text. Now, if he doesn't have the courage to do that after you've given him a clear, explicit invitation to do so, if he doesn't want to for whatever reason, if it's more comfortable for him to just be a pen pal on the dating app and endlessly carry on a conversation than it is for him to take some real initiative and message you privately to move the relationship forward, if he's got some kind of weird fear of commitment where he doesn't feel comfortable doing that, or whatever the situation might be, then this interaction is wasting your time. If you continue going back and forth with him on the dating app, you're never really finding out whether or not he's willing to step up to the level with you. And I want to say, I'm going to challenge some of the ladies on here right now. If you're not willing to do that, then you've got to ask yourself how serious you are about really meeting someone. If you're willing to entertain stagnant, dead energy, then how serious are you? Is it more comfortable for you to just carry a conversation on because it makes you feel like something is happening rather than really getting clear about where somebody stands and how serious they are, right? If you're not ready to take yourself that seriously, then you can't expect to meet someone else who's going to take you that seriously. So I know this might be a challenging idea for some of you, but look, I've coached a lot of both women and men into really healthy, amazing, conscious relationships. So I'm telling you what works right now. When you're serious about it, you get clear about what gauges real interest versus BS. And when someone's full of BS, you drop them. And when someone has real interest, you entertain them. That's what people do when they're serious about finding a partner and getting on with their lives. And when someone just wants to kind of play around and entertain things and waste their energy, the truth is they're just not that serious, even if they say they are. So the dating apps thing is really pretty simple. Get the interaction going. Get some rapport going. If there's rapport, invite them to get off of the app with you. If there's not rapport, drop them. But this is how you sort through. Look, on a dating app, you're literally sorting through hundreds of people. You've got to do this quickly and efficiently and find out who's compatible and who's not. And if you waste your time on dating apps, you're wasting your time in real life. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, I want to talk a little bit about how to initiate. Initiate isn't the right word because you're not initiating. You're giving him the opportunity to initiate. But I want to talk a little bit about how to invite interactions in the wild, so to speak. So, and for those of you who aren't familiar with that terminology, in the wild means out in your real life, whether you're at the grocery store, whether you're at the coffee shop, whether you're at a bar, whether you're at the gym, right? But how do you invite interactions? Some of you may have heard the term called dropping the handkerchief. If you haven't heard this term, I want to tell you, go to YouTube. There's a video by Matthew Hussey. Most of you probably know who Matthew Hussey is, but he did a really great video about dropping the handkerchief where he breaks it down. It's awesome. It's funny. It's entertaining. It's also super valuable. And it really breaks down this idea. But I just want you to imagine a 19th century marketplace. And maybe there was some man at the marketplace and there was some woman at the marketplace. And the woman wanted the man to initiate an interaction with her. Well, what she would do is she would walk past him and she would drop her handkerchief on the ground, making it seem like it was an accident or making it seem like she didn't know it happened. And then what she's doing is this is his opportunity to be a hero. This is his opportunity to say, excuse me, ma'am, you dropped your handkerchief. It's his opportunity to initiate something with her. So he picks up the handkerchief. He hands it to her, says, excuse me, you dropped your handkerchief. And she goes, oh, did I? Thank you, whatever, right? And now there's an interaction going. Now, most of us are not walking around a marketplace. Most of us are not, carrying handkerchiefs around to aimlessly drop in front of people. But this idea of dropping the handkerchief is the idea of inviting a man to take action with you, inviting a man to initiate an interaction with you while him thinking that it was his idea, right? Or him feeling like he took that first step. Now, I want to address something because a lot of you might say, well, why should I have to do that? If he wants to talk to me, he should come approach me. Well, I'm going to tell you, there is no man in the world who wants to walk up to a woman in a public place and try to initiate some kind of interaction, get shot down in front of everybody, and then again, have to do the walk of shame out of the place, just having been rejected in front of the whole world. There is not a man in the world who wants to do that. But if you can open a door for him, if you can create a space for him to kind of step through it, it's very powerful. And it gives him the confidence to take that first step. Now, I get the question often. This question comes in quite often, is women ask me, how can I get my gym crush to approach me? What I'm about to share with you is the perfect way to do that. Another question I often get is, if I'm at a coffee shop or I see the same person in my workout class every day or whatever, right? How can I get them to approach me? And I'm going to give you kind of a step-by-step play of how this works. The first step is to close off the distance. Whether you're in a coffee shop, whether you're in a class, whether you're at the gym, whether you're at a bar, wherever you might be, the first step is to close off the distance, because he is not going to walk all the way across the room and then get shot down and then have to walk all the way back across the room. It's just not going to happen. There needs to be a proximity of closeness where he feels that interaction can take place in a natural way. So at the gym, it might be okay, go get on the treadmill next to him, or go get on the machine nearby. Or if you're stretching, go stretch nearby, right? Whatever it is, you want to close off the distance. You don't want to create this huge gap that he has to bridge. You want to make it a little bit effortless for him. Then I think eye contact and a smile can go a long way. And I know a lot of people get scared. You want me to make eye contact with him? You want me to smile at him? That's so vulnerable. That's so scary. What if I smile at him and he gives me a dirty look, right? Well, you got to understand, you're asking him to do something very vulnerable as well, right? You want him to take a very vulnerable action in approaching you. And remember what I said earlier is the same amount of energy needs to be brought on both sides. The same amount of energy needs to be brought on both sides. It doesn't need to be the exact same actions, right? There can be differing actions, but there needs to be an equal amount of energy. So if you're wanting him to be vulnerable, to put himself out there, to ask you out or to initiate an interaction, that's a vulnerable thing to do. Well, then you've got to be a little bit vulnerable yourself. You've got to make yourself a little bit available so that he feels like it's invited. Again, I saw someone say in the comments earlier, she's like, yeah, men just don't approach anymore. Well, I mean, a lot of men might think you don't even want to be approached. I know I already spoke into this earlier, but men don't want to interrupt your day. They don't want to make you feel bad. They don't want to be rude. They don't want to be inappropriate. If you're just there trying to get your workout in or whatever, they don't want to interrupt that. They don't want to be the jerk who's hitting on you when you're just trying to get your workout in, right? So if you want an interaction to take place, you've got to invite that to some level. Closing off the proximity, eye contact, smile, that can go a long way. If you're already nearby and you make eye contact and you smile, maybe even a little wave, it's very likely, at a minimum, he would wave back. And look, I think it's important to say too, he might have a girlfriend. He might have 10 minutes to get his workout in. 10 minutes is short, but he might have 30 minutes to get his workout in and then he's got to get out of there. There are a lot of reasons that he may not step into that invitation. And if that is the case, like it doesn't really have anything to do with you. So you've also got to be okay with, if I make eye contact, if I smile and he doesn't step right into it, well, then that's okay too, right? But it's just getting comfortable making yourself more available, right? Making yourself more connected to other people. When I talk to people in my Inspired Love program about dropping the handkerchief, the way I usually teach it is not that you want to like identify somebody, okay, that person, and then come up with a strategy. How am I going to go drop the handkerchief in front of them? Like that ends up coming off like weird and awkward. Like the spirit of this is, if you can imagine getting to a place with this where you feel more comfortable being available for people. And I would say like you can even drop the handkerchief with women just as much as you might with men, right? Like it doesn't even need to be about, oh, I want them to ask me out or oh, I want like a relationship with them. Like it could simply be like, I'm just making myself more available. I'm getting comfortable with being more available. I'm learning to make myself like more connected when I'm out in the world, right? Like I'm learning to like make eye contact, to smile, to wave, to be inviting to people in general as a whole. And I know that if I practice that, if I practice being more available, if I practice being more inviting, if I practice being more connected, I know that inevitably that is going to lead to more interactions with all kinds of people. I'm going to make friends. I'm going to get more dates, right? It's just going to open up more interactions. I mean, I did a training a while ago. I mean, years ago, I did this training. Something that was brought up in the training was the trainer said, if you notice, people don't even look each other in the eyes anymore, right? It's like, and I mean, I'm sure you realize this too, is like you go to the grocery store, you go around your life, wherever, like people don't even look each other in the eyes. People often look down or look away, or if you catch someone's eye, you look away really quickly, right? Like there is like a pervasive fear of just connection with other human beings. And we're so in our heads of like, what are they going to think about me? Are they judging me? Do they think I'm attractive? Do they think I'm weird? Like, there's all this like fear and all this judgment that we're clouded with that creates a pervasive sense of disconnection. And then in the midst of all that, you want someone to like approach you and ask you for a date. Like that is so unreasonable, right? So if you want more connection in your life, and again, we're talking about having men initiate interactions with you, but I think this could be extended beyond just that limited conversation. Like if we as human beings want more connection in our lives as a whole, if we want to stop feeling so isolated and so alone and so afraid and so stuck in our own experience all the time, then we just got to get comfortable looking people in the eyes and smiling and saying hi to strangers and striking up conversations with random people. Like we've just got to get more comfortable with that. Otherwise, we're just going to be isolated. I say all of this to say that when we talk about dropping the handkerchief, try not to think about it like I'm going to find someone I'm attracted to, then I'm going to close off the distance between them, then I'm going to smile and make eye contact with them, then I'm going to find something to say, or like try not to strategize it like that. Try to think of it more as getting into a flow where you, on a regular basis, make yourself more available to people. I often say to the ladies I coach, I'm like, get so comfortable dropping handkerchiefs and have it be so common, have it be such a regular occurrence in your life that you don't even notice that you dropped one until somebody picks it up, right? Like think about that for a minute. Like you just get so comfortable making eye contact, smiling, connecting, asking questions, like just striking up interactions with people, like get so comfortable with doing that with men, with women, with whoever, that you don't even really realize you're doing it until somebody picks it up, until someone picks up that handkerchief. Now, I want to talk about just a few ways other than eye contact and smiling. Yeah, I see a comment right here. Aaron Z says, I always have trouble knowing what to talk about. Well, I'm going to give you some ideas right now. There are 5 ways I often say you can drop a handkerchief, so to speak. These aren't the only 5 ways. There are other ways, but these are ways that are pretty easy and natural, and I find they work well for a lot of people. Ask a favor. That's one. Ask a favor. If you're at the grocery store, it's like, hey, can you grab that thing off the tall shelf for me? Or if you're at the gym, it's like, hey, can you help me adjust this machine, or do you know how this thing works? Or can you spot me? Well, I'm lifting a little heavy. Like, can you spot me? Right? Like, just ask a favor. Like, ask for help. Especially for men, part of the masculine need for relevance is to feel needed. You give a man a job, he's going to want to do it. Like, there's just something in the masculine psyche that is just like, I want to help. I want to support. I want to take care. I want to provide, right? A lot of men are going through their lives in so many ways feeling useless. And then somebody gives them an opportunity to do something and provide something and like help or support in some way. That goes so far. That goes so far. So ask a favor. Just like asking a favor, you can also offer a favor, right? Like, you see a guy carrying a bunch of groceries out of the store. You could be like, hey, want me to grab one of those bags for you? Like, just offer a favor, right? Offer to be helpful. This isn't just for men. Like, this is universal. There's a universal thing that people want to feel seen, right? When you see someone who they don't even necessarily need to be struggling, but you just realize, oh, they could use some help, right? They could use some help in some way. I could help. He's carrying 5 bags of groceries. I could grab one of him and help him carry it to his car, right? Like, just the fact that you saw him and recognized him, and like out of all the people, like, you recognized his existence, that's going to make somebody feel so good. So asking a favor, offering a favor, giving a compliment, right? Like, hey, I love your outfit. I love your shoes. I love, wow, like, you lift a lot of weight. or like, I saw you working out. Like, man, you have a great routine. Like, and even you could even give a compliment and then ask a favor. Like, wow, you have a great routine. Can you show me some of what you did? Or I saw you doing that exercise over there. Like, how does that work? Right? Like, just a compliment and then asking a favor. I mean, that's an incredible combo right there. That's sure to get a conversation going. Something in a coffee shop, I'll give an example. In a coffee shop, right? Could be a bar, but if you're out there and you see somebody, and remember, close off the distance, right? That's the first step, is you close off the distance. And then after you close off the distance, you invite an interaction. So whether you do that through a smile, through eye contact, or through asking a question, any of the ones I've just given, compliment at a coffee shop or at a bar, if you're sitting next to someone at the coffee shop, this is a great one, is you might say, hey, I'm going to go get a refill on my drink. Can you watch my things for me? Right. So then maybe you leave your purse or your jacket or whatever, and you're like, hey, I'm going to go get a refill on my things, or I'm going to go get a refill on my drink. Can you watch my things for me? And then once again, if this is a man, like, you're making him feel useful, you're giving him a job, you're giving him an opportunity to help, like, you're playing into his masculine need to be useful and provide. Like, all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'm now the guardian of your things. I'm going to make sure nobody touches them. I mean, that's an incredible way to open an interaction. And then you go get your refill and you come back, and then you follow that up with, thanks so much. How are you doing today? Right now, when you ask him, how are you doing today? You're giving him the opportunity to bridge that gap. You're giving him the opportunity to take that interaction a step further. And I think following up any of these things with a question, right? Like, I gave the example earlier, hey, like, you have a great routine. Can you show me that move or whatever? Like, following it up with a question, what you do is you invite the interaction to go a step further. Right? If you're at the grocery store, you're like, hey, can you grab that thing off the top shelf for me? And then he grabs it. And then you're like, thanks so much. How are you today? Right? I mean, something as simple as how are you today invites him to take the interaction a step further. Now, again, if he's like, I'm good, thanks, and he turns his back, okay, then you don't want to keep chasing, right? And I think this is where, like, a lot of women ask me, so where is the line? Where is the line between me inviting an interaction and me pursuing somebody? That's the line right there, right? If you say, hey, can you grab that thing off the top shelf for me? He grabs it. And then you're like, thank you. How are you today? And he's like, I'm good. Thanks. How are you? And you're like, I'm good. And he's like, awesome. Have a nice day. And he turns and walks away. Okay. Like, the interaction is complete. You don't have to like chase him down and try to talk to him again. You gave him the opportunity. You invited the interaction. If he didn't step into it, it's fine. Again, maybe he has a girlfriend. Maybe he has 15 minutes to grab his thing and get out of there. Like, you don't have to take it personally either. But what I'm getting at again is get so comfortable being connected to other human beings, get so comfortable inviting interactions that it doesn't matter if people take a further step into it or not, right? It's not like you're bracing yourself for a rejection every time. You're just simply getting comfortable being open, being available, being connected, giving people invitations and opportunities to connect with you. If they choose to take it further, awesome. If they don't choose to take it further, okay, that's fine too, right? But this is about making yourself more available. Now, I want to shift gears a little bit because we're getting already about an hour in, and I want to make sure I cover this before we get too far in. I've talked about getting people to take initiative, whether it's in the wild, at the gym, at a coffee shop, at a bar. I've talked about getting people to take action on dating apps. What I want to talk about now is when you're dating someone. So you've already had that initial interaction, whether you met them on a dating app or you met them at the gym or wherever. You've already had that initial interaction. Now maybe you're texting with them. Maybe you've been on a date with them, or you've been on a couple of dates with them, and you're wanting them to continue moving it forward. You're wanting them to continue taking those next steps and continue moving this relationship forward. How do you do that? This is a dynamic that my wife and I came up with a long time ago called challenge and reward. Hey there, if you've made it this far in the episode, then I want to jump in with a special invitation for you. You've probably heard me mention Inspired Love at least once or twice on the show, and Inspired Love is my private coaching program. It's the culmination of over 15 years of healing work, and we have recently reopened the program for enrollment. Through an in-depth exploration in all 4 dimensions of human experience, that's body, mind, emotion, and spirit, the process allows you to bring balance to anxious, avoidant, or disorganized patterns, to heal and somatically release childhood trauma, to grow spiritually, and to approach intimate relationships from a healthy, emotionally regulated, and secure place. Our students commonly report that they have never seen anything quite this comprehensive. While many teachers offer courses to improve relationship skills or heal insecure attachment styles, it's rare to find something that works in all dimensions of your being. And I specifically designed the program this way because in my experience, any true healing process must address all of these elements to have any real chance of success. I know what it feels like to crave love on the deepest levels, while simultaneously feeling unworthy or hopeless around it. I know the fear of struggling in relationships and doubting they will ever work out for you. I watched my mother suffer in and out of 4 abusive marriages. I have 4 sisters and I've watched them struggle. I've been through it myself. I know that lack of love can be one of the most painful and lonely experiences, and I created this program because I know a way out of that, and I'm inspired to share it with others. Now, I don't know if this is the right thing for you or not. What I do know is it's changed the lives of so many people, and it continues to do so on a weekly basis. So if you're ready for a big change in your love life, and you're ready to get the most out of your life overall and stop wasting time, in the description below this episode, you can book a free call with another graduate of the program. She can tell you how it's changed her life and share how it might be helpful for you. If it feels right, jump in with us. If not, don't. But don't ignore this opportunity when it could make all the difference in the world for you. Go ahead, book your free intro call at the link in the description, and thanks for listening today. I spoke about this a little bit earlier, but I just want to go into some more detail about it now. So as a woman, when you're dating a man, when you're getting to know a man, and I mean, really, this could continue throughout your relationship, although I think at a certain point it tends to balance out. But as a woman, when you're dating a man, you want to challenge him to step up for you. Now, again, I know the word challenge can often be misinterpreted. So I don't mean to be aggressive. I don't mean to be nasty in any kind of way. I don't mean to attack him in any kind of way. Like it's not that kind of challenge. It's not an aggressive challenge. But what I'm talking about when I say a challenge is you're giving him an opportunity. You're giving him an opportunity to demonstrate something for you. I gave the example earlier of when you're on a dating app, right? After you've had some rapport, after you've had 1 or 2 positive interactions, you say, here's my number. Let's get off the app and you can text me. right? That's a great example of a challenge. You're giving him a specific action he can take to demonstrate his interest and his willingness to pursue the relationship further. A lot of women, rather than giving men challenges, they want to sit back and wait for the men to do this on their own, right? So if you're on a dating app, rather than saying, hey, here's my number, let's get off the app and you can text me, you want to sit there and chat with him for weeks on end, waiting for him to ask you for your number. Now, I think that's a bad approach. It wastes time. You're expecting him to intuitively know exactly what you want him to do. The amount of unconscious assumptions that we make in dating and the amount of opportunities and connections that we close down because of these automatic assumptions we make is just horrible. So many relationships could be taking off in really awesome ways if we would just get better about doing these kinds of things. And instead, we always wait for the other person to do it. Now, again, if I was coaching a man right now, I would tell him, ask for her number, right? I'm not saying that men shouldn't do these things, but I'm saying that women don't have to sit and wait for men to do them. And a lot of women say, well, I want a man who takes initiative. I want a man who takes the lead. And he can take the lead. He can take initiative, but it is totally okay to make it explicitly clear to him that you want him to do that. You don't need him to read your mind and somehow intuitively figure it all out on his own. You can just let him know, hey, this is what I want you to do. And he demonstrates the type of man he is, not by being able to intuitively read your mind and know what you want without you ever communicating it. He demonstrates the type of man he is by listening to what you say and wanting to fulfill that for you. That's such a huge distinction. And I think it's so important that we understand that is him not knowing exactly what you want in the timeline you want it, at the pace that you want it, and being able to intuitively feel into all that and do it exactly the way you want it does not make him a low quality man. What makes him a low quality man is when you've made it clear to him what you want and he then doesn't take the initiative. When you've told him what you're looking for or what you would like from him and he doesn't care enough to do it, right? And that is such an important difference. And I know so many women are walking away from potentially high quality men just because they feel like he's not intuitively knowing what I want and bringing it. So challenges, let's talk about challenges. Challenges are opportunities where you give a man an explicit opportunity to step up for you in some way. And then you gauge the potential in the relationship based on his willingness to rise to that challenge. So there are two kinds of challenges. There can be a direct challenge and an indirect challenge. And I'm going to talk about both of them. Now, a direct challenge is you explicitly saying something like, why don't you do X, Y, or Z? Here's my number. Why don't you call me? Here's my number. Why don't you text me? Why don't you plan a date for us this weekend? Hey, there's this new restaurant in town I'd love to go to. Why don't you take me there? Right? That is an explicit challenge, a direct challenge. This weekend, I would like to do X, Y, or Z. This weekend, I would like to go on a hike. This weekend, I would like to go paddleboarding. I've always wanted to learn how to go kite surfing or scuba diving. Why don't you set that up for us? Right? Do you think you could put something like that together? How would you feel about planning that for us? You're giving him direct challenges to step up for you. You're saying, hey, this is what I want. These are the kinds of experiences I want to have together. This is what I want to do with you. Why don't you set that up for us? Why don't you plan that for us? Why don't you do something like that? Why don't we do something like that together? I've often shared the example of when a man asks you if he could take you out on Friday and you're not available on Friday, you can say, I'm not available Friday, but why don't you plan something for us on Saturday, right? That's a challenge. Is he willing to accommodate that? And of course, if he has a commitment on Saturday, you don't want to be awful about it, but it's just giving him opportunities to accommodate you, giving him opportunities to show up for you. When I was dating my wife, we were 3 years long distance, and I planned a trip to New Jersey without her having to ask me to, without her having to tell me to. But she made it clear ahead of time that she would love it if I would come visit her. right? So it's like she didn't have to tell me, hey, I want you to come visit me next weekend. But she made it clear, yeah, I would love for you to come visit me. If you do, I'll show you around. I'll take you to this place and that place. I can show you all my favorite spots. I was vegan at the time. She's like, there's a vegan restaurant in town that I love. I'll take you there. I'll show it to you, right? So she made it very clear that she would like that to happen. And because she made it clear that she would like that to happen, I took the initiative to make it happen. If she had not made it clear that she wanted me to come visit her, I wouldn't have felt comfortable imposing myself into her life like that, right? So there's making these clear invitations, letting someone know what you want them to do. So direct challenges. Why don't you do X, Y, or Z? This weekend, I would like to do this or that. Why don't you put something together for us? I really like it when you do this or when you do that. Do you think you could do that more often? I really love it when you plan dates for us. Do you think you could do that more often? Or I really loved that restaurant you took me to last weekend. Do you think you could plan things like that for us more often? Right? That's a direct challenge. You're making explicit, clear requests, letting him know, giving him specific opportunities, specific ways that he can step up for you. And then you gauge the quality of the relationship or the quality of the person, not on his ability to read your mind and know exactly what you want, but on his ability to listen to what you say and make the effort towards it. Now, indirect challenges. I'm just going to give some examples here. I heard there's a new art exhibit in town this weekend. I've been wanting to check it out, right? That's an indirect challenge. You're not saying, why don't you take me there? Or would you take me there? But you're saying, I want to do this. And you're seeing if he's paying attention. Have you heard of this new Italian place? The pasta looks amazing, right? I love going for hikes this time of year. The weather's beautiful. I was thinking of catching a movie this weekend. Such and such is playing. I've wanted to see that for a while now. Or I've been thinking of taking a weekend trip. Have you ever been to such and such place, right? Like these are indirect challenges. Now, I want to say that if you only give indirect challenges, you're treading on some shaky ground there. I think a good mix of direct challenges and indirect challenges when you're getting to know someone, right? You're making it clear that both, hey, I want you to take this kind of initiative. I love it when you plan dates. I love it when you put things together for us. I love it when you call me. I love it when you text me throughout the day, right? Like you're making these clear, direct challenges. And then in addition to that, you're giving him information about what you like, what you're looking forward to, what you're excited about, what you want to do. The combination of these two things is enough for him to get a clear idea of exactly how he can make you happy, exactly what you want him to do. And then if he rises to that occasion, if he listens, if he pays attention, and he rises to the occasion, you have a really high quality man. If he ignores these things, let's just say, for example, you are in the first couple of maybe week or two of dating. Maybe you met on a dating app, you gave him your phone number, he texted you, and now you've been texting back and forth and you're like, I really wanted to ask me on a date, but he hasn't asked me yet, right? That might be a time where you say to him, hey, I'd really like to meet in person soon. Do you think you could plan something for us this weekend? Boom. That's like a clear, direct challenge. Do you think you could plan something for us this weekend? Now, he might say something like, well, this weekend I have such and such, right? So don't take that as a rejection. The way I would respond to that, like if he has something this weekend, then if that weekend doesn't work, then what you could say is something like, okay, well, I'd really like us to get together soon. Why don't you let me know when you can make that happen, right? You follow it up with another challenge. And then what I would do is I would distance a little bit, right? Like if you've offered a challenge or a couple of challenges and he's not stepping into that, he's not stepping up for that, then what I would do is I would distance a little bit. In the distancing, you're communicating that, okay, I've given you opportunities to step up for me. If you don't choose to take that opportunity, if you don't take that initiative, if you don't step into that challenge or step up to that challenge, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to distance myself a little bit. I'm going to let you feel that you're losing me. And no, this is not something you need to make explicit. This is not something you need to say to him, I asked you to take me out and you didn't take me out. Now I'm distancing myself. You don't need to go there with it. All you need to do is let him feel the distance. If he doesn't step into that challenge after feeling the distance, he's not worth the time. He's not worth the energy. He's not worth the investment. Now, challenge is one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is reward. This is important because the reward is where you reinforce the behavior that you want him to take. So I think it's so important to not only challenge him, but also be very good at rewarding him. Now, something that often comes up when I talk about challenge and reward is people say, reward sounds sexual. So let me just be clear. Of course, it can be sexual if that's appropriate for where you are in the relationship. But when I say reward, I don't explicitly mean a sexual reward. Rewards can be many, many things. They can be expressions of gratitude. They can be compliments. They can be recognitions of effort. They can be physical touch, hugs, affectionate gestures, right? A kiss on the cheek, holding his hand, sitting closely to him, smiling, like leaning in close when you're talking to him, touching his arm or touching his thigh. Like these are ways that you reward the effort that he's taking. Actively listening, showing interest in what he's saying, following up with insightful questions. Like I think there's something like when he makes the effort to take you out on a date, the way you reward that is by making sure he has a great time, right? Making sure that like you're connected, making sure that you're smiling, making sure that it feels really good to be with you, right? Like if he makes the effort to take you out on a date and then he feels like kind of disconnected during the date, that's not incentive for him to want to take you on another date. There's a way of acknowledgement, gratitude, physical touch, smiling, laughing, being engaged, listening. Now, I know that some of you might be hearing this and you're like, so should I fake it if I don't feel it? I mean, I think there's a certain level of just being socially encouraging, and that's not necessarily fake. It's just like, if you go to the bank, for example, and you're talking to the bank teller, like you can be kind of disconnected and gruff and kind of in your own world. And that's going to define the interaction that you have with the person, right? Or if you smile, if you say, how's your day going? If you're warm, if you're connected, right? So I think there's a level of just being socially connected, socially engaged, that's not fake. It's just making people feel good to be around you. And I think that's something that we all need to develop, especially in dating, right? Is like when we're spending time with people, we want the time we spend with people to feel really good for them. If it doesn't feel really good for them, they're not going to want to spend more time with us, right? So there is a way of being socially connected. Now, should you fake laugh at all of his jokes if they're not funny? No. You could maybe even be authentic and be like, I didn't find that joke that funny. And the two of you could laugh about that, right? Like in a flirty way, you could be honest and still engaged, and that could even connect you, right? So I think there's a way of being authentic, but also being engaged. The point here is that as you're giving him challenges, you're giving him opportunities to step into the relationship. You're giving him clarity about how he can show up for you. You're giving him ideas and expressing the things you want and the things you would like to do together and the ways you would like to experience him and the ways you would like to experience the relationship. As you're giving him clarity about that, when you see him hearing, listening, understanding, and taking those actions, that's when you reward that behavior with sharing all the things that are amazing about you. You reward him by letting him get the very best of you. He's making his best effort by showing up, listening to what you're saying, planning things. He's giving you his best effort. Reciprocate that with your best effort. Again, I said this earlier, but this has been a common theme throughout this. When you want someone to step up for you, you've got to bring the energy. You've got to bring the energetic equivalent of what you want from that person. Now, of course, if you're a woman, I don't think you should plan all the dates. I don't think you should bend over backwards to try to go out with him. Like, I think that's, if you're comfortable doing that, then fine. But most women are not comfortable doing that. And I don't think as a man putting a woman in that position, I don't think that creates safety for her. So again, I don't think that women should necessarily put themselves in that position unless they're very comfortable doing so and they can be happy doing so. But I do think that the equal energy needs to be brought on both sides. So if he is making plans, if he is taking initiative, if he is moving the relationship forward, he needs to feel rewarded and reciprocated in that. When I was dating my wife, and I shared earlier that we were long distance and that I was traveling from South Florida to New Jersey and vice versa, when I would go to New Jersey, she made it a priority to really show me a good time while I was there, right? Like I told her I wanted to go to New York City. Like I'd never been to New York City before. And so like she planned a city day for us and she showed me her favorite restaurants, right? So it was like I was making that effort to move the relationship forward. And then she was rewarding that effort by really like wanting me to have a great time and wanting me to enjoy my time there. I think that goes so far. The reward is just important for the man as rising to the challenges for the woman, right? Like it is just as important for the man to rise up to that challenge and step in for you as it is for him to receive the reward when he does. And by both of you bringing equal but different energy, you're going to create a kind of reciprocation where you both feel very safe in the relationship, where you both trust the other person, where you both feel valued and recognized and appreciated and wanted and desired. And if that is where the relationship starts, that bodes very, very well for your life together. And if the relationship doesn't start there, there's a very, very small chance it's going to go any further than that. All right. So thank you, everybody, for being with me in today's conversation. This is a big one. I want to take some questions now. Rami says, I feel like when I've thrown out the invite, it shows men I'm confident and also gives them confidence to pursue me if they're interested. Totally. Again, we want confidence from others, but we're afraid to bring it ourselves. I think it's such a huge point is like this idea of equal energy, right? If you want someone to be confident with you, be confident with them. And it's not a huge risk to ask someone how their day is going. It's not a huge risk to offer someone a compliment. Oh, I actually forgot. Let me put it in now. One way of dropping the handkerchief I forgot to mention earlier. This is actually one of the easiest ones. Hey, can you take a picture of me? Right? If you're out in a public place or whatever, and you see a guy, it's like, hey, can you grab a picture of me or a picture of me and my friends? What a natural way to like open up an interaction. And then of course you follow that with, thanks so much. How are you doing today? Right? How's your day going? Right? So you're inviting that interaction. I think that's so true what Rami's saying there is like, if you want someone to show that confidence, you've got to bring the confidence yourself. Rami also says, I challenged myself a few years ago to ask, how's your day going? Every time I'm wanting to be checked out in a grocery store or a place like that, man or woman. I love that. Just again, it's not about only talking to men or only talking to women. It's about getting comfortable being available for people, getting comfortable being emotionally and available for interaction when you're out in the world. People say, we only meet on dating apps. We never meet in real life anymore. Well, I mean, think about if you're out in the world and you're kind of closed off and looking at the floor and in your own zone and you're not making eye contact and you're not smiling and you're not warm, who's going to approach you? Right? So there's a spirit of being connected in general and allowing that connected spirit to spark interactions with people all the time. And I think that's something, I'll just say for myself, like it's something I know I practiced, especially when I was single. Like everywhere I would go, I would practice engaging with people. I would practice saying hi. I would practice smiling. I would practice like just asking people, how's your day? Or, where are you from? Or, if there was an opportunity, I would take that opportunity because I wanted to be the kind of person that people wanted to connect with. I think it's so important that we practice that skill, and people do meet in the wild. I mean, I see it happen with my clients all the time, but it does require a level of like presence and connection that when we're just looking at our phones or when we're just, in our zone, we're sending out a vibe that we're not available for connection. So I want to start with this question. Solo Yeva is asking the question, how can you tell when you've given someone enough opportunity? This is a great question. It's an excellent question. I think the challenge and reward thing is how you tell, right? When we talk about this idea of challenge and reward, this is how you know when you've given someone enough opportunity. If you give specifically a woman giving a man, if you give him one challenge, two challenges, three challenges, that's more than enough. Really, if he's interested, he should respond to the first one. I know from the men I coach and from talking to men is men genuinely want to know, tell me what to do. I'll do anything. I just want to take care of her and I don't know what to do. That is one of the number one frustrations for men. Men would approach women 100% more if they knew how to do it, how women wanted to be approached, what women were looking for in an approach. If they knew they could do it in a way that would make her happy, that wouldn't lead them to be rejected, they would do it in a heartbeat. They would do it 100 times more. And so if you're giving a man clear direction, here's my number, call me, and he doesn't call, he doesn't text, he doesn't reach out, you've given him enough opportunity. If you're saying, hey, I would really love to go to this restaurant this weekend. Do you think you could take me? Right? Do you think we could do that? If you give him that opportunity and he doesn't take the initiative, that's more than enough. Look, if you really like the person, if on all other accounts you think we have great interactions, if you think he's worth it, then you could try a second or a third time. My honest opinion is that he should get it after the first time. But look, let's be gentle. Let's be generous. Let's give people opportunities, right? You don't really lose anything by giving him a second or third chance. So if you feel like the interaction is worth it, it's okay to do that. Again, it costs you nothing to give him one more opportunity just to see if maybe he missed it the first time. But you don't need to go further than that. Again, when I started dating my wife, she didn't have to pull my leg to get me to book a ticket to New Jersey. I liked her. I was interested. I wanted to see her. I wanted to spend more time with her. I wanted to see where she lived. I wanted to be a part of her life. She didn't have to pull my leg to get me to book a ticket to New Jersey. I just fucking did it. But she had to let me know that she wanted me to come. She had to show enough interest and invitation in the relationship that I felt comfortable doing it, that I felt like I wasn't imposing, that I felt like I wasn't overstepping my boundaries. I think that it's important to make it clear what you want. It's important to make it clear how you want it. It's important to make it clear that those steps are welcome and invited. All of that's important. But if you've done that and he's not stepping into it, that's when you say, okay, not the guy for me. And I actually think not only is it important to do this in order to get him to take the action, but it's also important to do this so you have clarity about who is willing to take the action and who's not. If you're just sitting around and waiting and hoping that he's going to take the initiative, but you haven't made it clear that you want him to, you haven't expressed some clear ways that he can that would make you happy, then you don't really know if he's just not that interested or if he just doesn't know what to do, right? There are so many men that would love to take the steps that you want them to take if they just knew exactly what you wanted. And by making that clear, you can clearly discern, is he someone who wants to do it or is he someone who doesn't? But if you don't put that challenge out there, you don't know. He might be someone who wants to and he might not. So it's not only important to get him to step up, but it's important to reveal his character. It's important to reveal the kind of man that he is. So beautiful question, Solayeva. And yes, I think that, you don't have to give him a million opportunities. You give him one, maybe two, maybe three. Definitely not more than that. How do you ask someone out when you're both shy? So I love this question and thank you. This is from J Key 2004. How do you ask someone out when you're both shy? Well, if you're both shy, one of you is going to have to get the confidence to do it. This is where I think dropping the handkerchief is such a useful tool. And I've given some examples today. I'm not going to go back and talk about all those examples. For anyone who wasn't able to catch the full episode today, subscribe to the podcast. It's called The Conscious Love Show. You can find it on all major podcast platforms. And I've given a lot of examples of how to do this today. So I don't want to go back and go through all of these examples. But this idea of dropping the handkerchief is so useful because you start with something non-threatening, right? If you're shy, well, you can be shy and still ask a favor from someone. Hey, can you grab that off the top shelf for me? Hey, I saw you doing that workout. Like, can you show me how to do that? That looks really awesome. Or, hey, I love your routine. Like you look like you're really good at this, or whatever, right? Or like one I love is like, hey, I'm going to go refill my drink. Can you watch my bag for a second, right? Like, you can be shy and still initiate an interaction. Like, that is non-threatening. That is not too vulnerable, even for a shy person. And this is why I think it is such a useful tool to just get comfortable initiating these kinds of interactions with people. Look, I'm going to tell you as a man, okay? And I wouldn't do this now because I'm married, but when I was single, if I was sitting in a coffee shop and an attractive woman came and sat next to me, and I'm like, wow, she's interesting, I would like to get to know her better. Now, I might not just be like, hey, I'm Shane. Who are you? Like, let's talk. Like, I might not do that for a lot of reasons, right? Like one, she might not want me to talk to her. Like, she might be waiting to meet someone for all I know. She might have a boyfriend. Like there might be all these reasons, right? But if she opens up, if she invites a perfectly natural human interaction, like, hey, can you watch my bag for a second while I go get a refill, right? That's non-threatening. She's not asking me on a date. She's not telling me she thinks I'm attractive. She's not really being that vulnerable. She's just asking for a quick favor while she goes to get a refill. And I'm going to be like, sure. Like, I mean, even as a married guy, I wouldn't be like, no, I won't watch your bag. Like, I'd be like, sure, I'll watch your bag. Right. And then if she comes back, and again, I'm single, and she's like, hey, thanks for watching my bag. How are you doing today? And I'm interested, I'm going to jump at the opportunity to talk to her. I'm going to be like, I'm doing great. How are you? Where are you from? Like, I'm going to jump at the opportunity because now she has opened the door for an interaction. Even if I'm shy, I now feel comfortable enough to take that. Even if she's shy, she can still ask me for a quick favor. This is such a useful tool. And that's why I say, if you're nervous to do this with a man, start practicing it with women, right? Like, ask the woman sitting next to you to watch your bag, and then come back and ask her how her day is going, right? If you're too shy to ask a man to do that, then start with women. And just by getting comfortable initiating these kinds of social interactions, it'll be easier to take that step with a man. I understand being shy. And I understand that, the first time you do this, your heart might be pounding a little bit. Your palms might be sweating a little bit. You might be nervous. But again, like, I got to go back to something I said earlier. Think about how vulnerable you're asking him to be. You're asking him to, like, ask you on a date and face the rejection of, like, oh, no, I don't want to go on a date with you, right? Like, if you want him to be that vulnerable, meet him halfway. Ask him for a favor, give him a compliment, right? Like, open the door for him so he doesn't have such a huge leap to take. If you meet him halfway, he's going to be 10 times more likely to spark that interaction. Beautiful question. Thanks, Jay Key. And I hope that supports you. I hope that you can get out there and get those interactions going. I'm going to end with that. Wonderful questions today, everybody. Thank you so much. Those of you who have been with me throughout today's session, I really appreciate it. Those of you who have not been able to be on for the entire session, but would like to catch it, I'd tell you, go subscribe to the Conscious Love Show podcast. Again, that's available on all major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and all the other major ones. I mean, wherever you listen to podcasts, you're going to find us there. So please subscribe to the show. We release new episodes every Tuesday. I will be back here live with you next Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. And I'll see you real soon, everybody. All right. Lots of love. Take care. Many blessings. And we'll see you soon. Bye. Thanks again for checking out the show. Please subscribe on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on the most. And I would love it so much if you'd leave a review and tell people what you think of us. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram @The Living Relationship to connect more closely. And I'm grateful to be supporting you on your journey to love.